From the Carmelo K. Anthony Basketball Center and the training facility for SU Hoops, it's the basketball preview show, and we have a lot to get to in advance of the SU Hoops season. We're going to tell you about the revolving door. That is that SU Hoops roster. Who's back, who's not, who was added to the team.
Yeah, Brad, some old from a Sweet 16 team a year ago, some new, including a big recruit in Benny Williams. I get to talk to him, and Brad, you got a big interview as well.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim, he knows a thing or two about SU Hoops, and also we're going to tell you all about the schedule and project that starting lineup for you. It's the basketball preview show starting right now.
Oh, goodness, not much room at all. Give him an inch, he takes it all, and he knows. Why not? That's almost Michael Jordan-like.
Down on my knees, I've seen things that you wouldn't believe.
Hello and welcome alongside Noah Cierzan. I'm Brad Klein, happy to be with you. Previewing the SU Hoop season. Should be an exciting season, and that means it's an exciting show.
Yeah, Brad, a team that went to the Sweet 16 a year ago, return a lot of guys, and I think a lot of people in Syracuse getting excited for the Orange this year.
But don't take our word for it. If you forgot what happened last year, here's a look back.
I thought the determination we showed today when, we missed shots. Buddy missed the open shots he's been making the last few weeks. And, halftime, Jerry talked to him, said, just keep going, keep looking for him. And everybody kept looking for him. And, he knocked some huge shots down.
Boeheim. There you go.
Got to kick it here. You got Boeheim wide open.
There he is for a second of the half. Yes.
Oh, and no inside game right now.
Boeheim answers back with a couple of those, even beyond that.
Watch out.
Yeah, talking about way out there. Boeheim.
Woo. Wow, does that silence it a little bit? A contributor. A little nylon.
2-point jumper.
Once again, the ability to elevate.
Seriously.
Yep. Are you, as you would say, serious?
But look at Richmond, spin, cycle.
I'll be back. I got a lot of work to do, and I know I can get a lot better. So I got to get a lot better if I ever want to think about that. So I'm looking forward to being back and getting back to work as soon as possible.
Well, that was last year. This is this year, and this year there is a very different roster that Syracuse is working with. A lot of guys that SU relied on to get to that Sweet 16 that are no longer here, and A1 on that list is Quincy Guerrier. Transfers to Oregon, second in the ACC in rebounding. That's a big loss for Syracuse. Also their second leading scorer.
Yeah, Brad, he was a double-double monster on a team that struggled a lot in the rebounding department. Many times last year, he was a guy who could get the job done and had that presence on the interior, something that Syracuse is going to need to replace, especially when you also lose the jack-of-all-trades guy for Syracuse the last 4 years in Marek Dolezaj. He was kind of a unicorn-type player who never filled up the box score, Brad, but always got those nitty-gritty plays, got the rebounds, was a great passer, and will be sorely missed for Jim Boeheim.
Yeah, he led the team in scraped knees and bumps and bruises on his arms, right? That was the type of player he is, and that's the type of culture that he instilled into SU's roster. Look, bottom line is, I don't know if there's anyone on this team that can replicate what Marek Dolezaj did for the team and meant for the team last year. But if you're going to do that, I mean, you have to talk about not only who didn't fill up the stat sheet, but who did. Alan Griffin was no stranger to those big games, especially in the point-scoring department during the dog days of the year. The only problem for Alan Griffin, who then turned pro and is now playing a two-way deal in the NBA right now, the only problem is he kind of just vanished at the end of the year, right? The last 4 games, he only scored 8 points.
Yeah, like you said, struggled a bit at the end of the year, but could light it up. 28 at Pitt, 26 at Georgia Tech. A lot of offensive firepower Syracuse is going to need to replace 62% of the offense from last season, to be exact. And another big key component of what they're missing on that backcourt is Kadari Richmond. Came in as a freshman last year, ran a point, and was one of the better perimeter defenders that SU had seen in a long time. Led the league in the conference in steals for quite a long time, and overall will be missed, especially when you're talking about the defensive end, something that you can really never have enough of.
They couldn't have enough of this year. They couldn't have enough of it last year, and Robert Braswell was a big reason why, right? Robert Braswell, probably that prototypical 3-and-D player. He transfers, taking his talents to Charlotte now. He's a guy that blossomed at the end of the year. Took a lot of Alan Griffin's minutes. He's gone. That could be a bigger loss than people think.
Yeah, and one more, maybe more minor loss. Woody Newton. He was a freshman last year, and I think he was a bit of a surprise transfer because he only appeared in 11 games. I don't think the plan for him was to play a lot, but he ends up transferring to a big program in Oklahoma State. Will be interesting to see how that works out from there.
Yeah, Woody Newton on his way out said he just lost faith in the coaching staff, but I'll tell you who probably has a good amount of faith in this coaching staff. Buddy Boeheim, key addition number 1, rather key returner number 1. Buddy Boeheim, the best player on the team. All ACC preseason selection and led those 5 in votes. No surprise that he's going to be the best player on this team.
Yeah, you look at the end of the year, the team really lived and died by how Buddy Boeheim was shooting, and they won because he was shooting the lights out of the gym. 30 against Virginia, put up multiple 25-plus points games up in the tournament, and he's going to be another offensive superstar for this Syracuse team to return. Another guy, though, that they need to show up on offense this year is Joe Girard, Buddy's backcourt mate now in his 3rd season, starting at that point guard spot, and he had a little bit of a streaky year last year, only 33% from beyond the arc, which is really his specialty. But if you go to the very end of that year, fans in the stands at the NCAA tournament, his play elevated so much. Girard really feeds off the fans to perform well, and you saw that at the end of last year.
This is bread and butter, right? And he's a shooter. He's playing point guard, but he is a shooter, if that's his position. Not a shooting guard, not a point guard. He's a shooter. Now, he's playing the 1 for Syracuse, and he will this year too. But if those shots aren't falling, then Girard's real contribution to the team, it's going to be minimized, right? So if those shots continue to fall, then he's going to be strong. And if he needs the fans to do it, then so be it. But I'll tell you what, Jesse Edwards, another key returner for Syracuse, Flying Dutchman in the middle, and now starting to break into that rotation, especially towards the end of the year. Look, Boeheim was hurt in that first game of the season against Bryant. Marek Dolezaj stepped in, but he really couldn't do it on his own, the Slovakian in the middle. It had to be Edwards, and he showed a little something.
Yeah, and Jesse Edwards, just from a physicality standpoint, has more of the presence that this Syracuse 2-3 zone needs, and you really saw him blossom at the end of last year. He started to get the feel of the defense, even had a couple games where he got a little going on offense as well. So Jesse will be a big part of the middle of that zone. And then finally, you mentioned him already, but Boeheim, we only saw him twice last year after he had a knee surgery. An infection in that knee held him out the entire year. But you go to the year before, started all 32 games, averaged around 8 rebounds per game, and that's really what Syracuse needs to succeed out of their center. They need somebody who can rebound, play defense, and be a presence.
Yeah, Boeheim is back for a 5th year, and he's on a mission, right? I feel like injuries have plagued his entire career, but if he's finally able to piece together some solid stretch of basketball, healthy, productive basketball, then he leaves the hill with a good taste in his mouth. But I'll tell you what, Boeheim being back is important for Syracuse. What else is important is the transfer portal, and Syracuse got them and then some. Cole Swider, Symir Torrance. Oh, and by the way, Jimmy Boeheim completes the triumvirate of the Boeheims on the Hill. He transfers from Cornell, Symir Torrance from Marquette, and Cole Swider from Villanova. Now, Swider and Torrance, they're both former 4-star recruits, and Jim Boeheim knows that his son Jimmy, his older son Jimmy, can contribute to this team. It's going to be a new look for Syracuse, but I think they have a little something in these transfers.
They definitely do, and you talk about a guy like Swider. Didn't play much at Nova, but when he did, 40% three-point shooter. You add that to the mix, I think that makes the offense a lot better, a lot more versatile. And then Jimmy Boeheim. I know it's like another Boeheim, but this is a guy that balled out at Cornell, averaged over 16 points per game, in his last season, which was 2019, and I think he can be a valuable asset for this team for the start. But if you want to talk additions, there may not be a more important one than Benny Williams. Of course, the freshman, 4-star, 5-star, depending on what recruiting site you use, doesn't matter. He is an absolute stud, highest ranked recruit since Chris McCullough for Syracuse. He's a big frame, grew a foot in high school, which is absolutely insane, Brad. But it seems like this is a guy who could legitimately be a one and done.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that growth spurt too. But if he's going to be one and done, that means he's likely going to profit a little bit from those new rules in college basketball and college sports as a whole. NIL, name, image, and likeness, changing the game as we know it. And our very own Matt Bonaparte has more.
2, 1, it's his night. No, of course it's going in.
With new name, image, and likeness rules in place, these shots can make Buddy Boeheim money through signings, merchandise, and commercials like these.
What does NCAA basketball star Buddy Boeheim eat for breakfast?
Try 3 Swisher cereal.
Cut.
Try 3 Wishes cereal. I know a thing or two about 3s.
Cut. Perfect, pal.
But why is it so important? Well, let's talk to an expert. Assistant teaching professor of sport management within Falk College, David Maloney, explained to me why this is crucial.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy's in my class. I'm teaching. It's not a plug for my class, but it kind of is. I mean, we're the only school in the country right now that's teaching an NIL course that's not within, the law school or some other different division. People don't realize, I don't care if you're Dave Maloney who played at Ithaca, we spent so much time, right, outside of the classroom, on that ball field, on that weight room, okay? It doesn't matter what level you're at. So if I could come home in the wintertime and I can go do a hitting lesson for $40, that's what I'm good at.
Maloney said it's a great opportunity for college athletes, and Buddy Boeheim, the school's top earner, said it's an enjoyable and safe one.
It's been a lot of fun. I think the biggest thing I wanted to get out of it right away was just fan interaction, interacting with fans in different ways, and also just doing really fun stuff in the community, doing a video of Beacon Skiff, a place I grew up as a kid, and it was funny. It actually came out great, so I loved that, and doing just other stuff, doing cameos, doing videos for fans. Every deal we make with compliance and our people here, so they've given us advice. They tell us, hey, I don't know if we should do this or that, look at this, try to work something out.
Due to name, image, and likeness rules, the NCAA landscape has changed forever. Matt Bonaparte, Citrus TV.
Name, image, and likeness, most definitely a big part of college basketball going forward. But coming up on the basketball preview show here on Citrus TV, Jim Boeheim joins the show to give you everything you need to know about SU hoops in 2021-2022.
Welcome back into the basketball preview show. Brad Klein, Noah Cierzan here, giving you the entire rundown on the 2021-2022 Syracuse Orange. And Brad, we really cannot talk about this Syracuse team without talking about the Boeheims. You first had Jim, then you had Buddy. It was like fun. He had one player on the team, and now we got another in Jimmy Boeheim. Sam Lebowitz has more on what the family affair has become for Syracuse basketball.
It was never part of Jimmy Boeheim's plan.
Obviously, Syracuse was always like, I'd love to go to Syracuse, but it had to be the right fit.
But after his senior season at Cornell was canceled due to COVID-19, his family waited to see if there'd be room for a third Boeheim in Orange.
We had some roster spots open up. We had a good feeling he was going to come to Syracuse, and I know that he's definitely capable of playing here.
Jimmy and younger brother Buddy haven't been teammates since they overlapped at Jamesville Dewitt High School, but it hasn't taken long to remember that their sibling rivalry is a fuel for their competitive fire.
If we're like doing a drill or something, or getting a workout in, and it's first to make X amount of threes or whatever. There's definitely the competitive level there. But, when we're on the court, I'd say we're competing together, which is it's been fun to compete together rather than against each other.
We get on each other probably more than I get on him more than anyone probably when he makes a mistake or something. I'll yell at him or we'll have a little exchange, but it's all out of love because we know how much this means to us. This is our lives, so we're going to give everything we have and just hold each other accountable.
And while Buddy is thrilled to play alongside his brother for the first time since high school, Jim, on the other hand, says it's all business on the court.
Jimmy's become a really good player. He wasn't recruited much in high school. Kind of found a place at Cornell and really played well, got better every year there. They're both good players. Jimmy's picked up everything we're doing quickly. In spite of the fact he went to Cornell, he's been able to pick up the things we're doing here.
And Buddy says the most excited member of the Boeheim family doesn't even suit up on game day.
I think my mom's the most excited if anyone. She can't wait. She's nervous, excited, but I know.
From the Mello Center, Sam Lebowitz, CitrusTV.
It's just, you can't really write it up any better.
Jimmy, Buddy, and now Jim Boeheim joining the basketball preview show to break down SU hoops in 2021-2022. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time.
Good to be with you.
So I got to ask you, right, because we talked already about the Sweet 16 run, and you said that the team is playing their best basketball at the end of the year. I know that's always the goal for a head coach, but how does that translate into this season?
Well, you want to play the best you can every day. So the first game you play, you want to play good, and then you want to get better. That's the key. So you want to have a great season, and then you want to have a great playoff season. So that's the ideal. If you struggle a little bit in the regular season, but you can get into the playoffs and you do something there, that's fine. That's a good thing. But ideally, you want to play well regular season and tournament season.
Last one on going back to last year and then touching up on who left. Kadari Richmond goes. I think it's because it wasn't going to start like you alluded to. What is really the difference between Joe's game and Kadari's game that makes you want to start Joe?
Well, Kadari never worked hard at the game. He never had coming in, didn't work hard last year, and really was not in the condition. He played 21 minutes a game, and that was about all he could play. And he was hurt a lot, had a lot of setbacks. I just think Joe was more consistent, obviously a better shooter, just a more consistent player. And people talk about Kadari's steals, but Joe was second on the team and top 10 in the league in steals. So the defensive difference wasn't that big, but I think Joe was just more solid and obviously a much better outside shooter. So, but Kadari was good, and that's why he played 21 minutes a game. And if he'd come back, he would have played probably 25, 26 minutes a game this year. And he chose Seton Hall. They have 5 guards. So we'll see if how many minutes he's going to play there. You just never know.
Never know. You mentioned before that you're really happy with the development of the bigs, and there's a lot to like there. Barama Sidibe is back, 5th-year senior, but there's a lot of talent around Sidibe too. I think a lot of people are curious to see what Jesse Edwards' role is because he blossomed at the end of the year. What do you think the center rotation is going to look like?
Well, Jesse had a good finish. People got a little overexcited and I think made him into some. I'm not sure what they were watching because he struggled. I mean, we played a lot, he got in foul trouble, and he's got to learn to avoid that. And he's stronger. I think that's good. Frank's stronger. So I think they're both improved. They're not finished products, but they're improved, and I think they'll be ready to help us.
So by your definition, by what you were seeing versus what we were seeing, how much did Jesse actually improve from the beginning to the end of last year?
I thought he made improvement. I thought he was better. I don't think he was as good as some people thought he was outside, but everybody's right to their opinion. But when it comes to playing time, mine's the only one that counts. So, but he got better, and I think he's better this year. And again, the results will show. You know, he'll get his opportunities, and you know, we'll see how he does.
All right, Coach, fill in the blank for me. This season will be successful if what?
Well, there's unfortunately there's a number of things that have to go right.
Oh, we got time.
The chemistry, you know, our obviously continued improvement. Our defense was better last year than people gave it credit for. That's got to be good. You got to be balanced. I think all those things are, what makes a good team, and I think we have all the weapons to become a really good team.
Jim Boeheim, thanks again for taking the time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, well, coming up after the break on the basketball preview show, Noah Cierzan sits down with one of Coach Boeheim's players. We'll see you in a bit.
What are you, superheroes?
Just four brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
Welcome back to the basketball preview show. He's Noah Cierzan. I'm Brad Klein, previewing the SU hoop season, and we really can't talk about Syracuse right now without talking about the freshest, youngest, wrinkleless face on this roster. It's Benny Williams, and Tyler Melito has more on his upbringing and his long and winding road to the hill.
SU men's basketball's newest big man, Benny Williams, might be the only freshman on this year's team, but he is certainly not worried about it.
That's no worries for me. Guys like Jimmy and Cole just took me under their wings, telling me little things about how to just take control of the process and take it day by day, and just control what you can control and not worry about outside stuff, outside distractions, and just know what your goal is.
With a roster that is experiencing a lot of turnover from last season, Williams expects big things out of himself early on.
I envision myself making an impact right away. I know it's not common for freshmen to do that, but
like Williams, his coaches and teammates also think he could have a big impact on this team.
Well, I think he has a very good feel for the game. He's a very good passer, and with the guys that we have that can really shoot the basketball, he's a guy that can, obviously make and create some plays, I think, off the bounce initially, and not trying to, do anything spectacular.
Working his hardest every day. There's going to be ups and downs. There always is as a freshman. You're going to have highs and lows, and I just want to see him continue to work hard every day, stay positive, and everything else will take care of itself.
Despite only being 19 years of age and high expectations for his freshman season, Williams is not too concerned about all the pressure.
Well, I just want to be the best version of myself. I can't be anybody but Benny Williams. I'm Benny Williams. I can't be Carmelo Anthony. I can't be Jeremy Grant. I can be myself. I can be the best version of myself when I put the work in.
You could watch Williams play in the regular season for the first time on November 9th when the Orange take on Lafayette inside the Dome. Reporting for CitrusTV Sports, I'm Tyler Melito.
So you just heard a bit about the highest ranked recruit Syracuse has gotten since Chris McCullough, and we're going to bring him on to the basketball preview show right now. Benny Williams sitting next to me, talk a little bit about what the season's going to be like coming into the year. Benny, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we get into what the season's going to look like, what the transition period is like, I want to take it a bit back to your high school days. Yeah. And I know you've probably gotten this one before, but as a freshman, you were 5'9", and now you are how tall?
6'9".
That is absolutely getting a little photo bomb there from Symir Torrance. That's a crazy growth spurt right there. So what was that like, kind of growing up more in I guess the guard body type, and suddenly everybody wants you to be a big man?
I wouldn't say a big man, probably like a point forward kind of thing. So yeah, I was 5'9", grew a couple inches, knees started hurting, became slower, had to take a year off of basketball just to get used to my body. But now it's all paid off. All the hard work I put in, especially that year off, just having those guard skills at 6'9", it's not common, and I'm grateful for the work that I put in.
Yeah, do you almost feel like it plays to your advantage because there's not many guys that are as tall and have the physical presence that you have that can also handle the rock?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's pretty cool though, just seeing some of the stuff I do. Watching a lot of highlights of like Paul George, KD, Jason Tatum, just seeing what those guys do and implement it into my game, and even players that I play with like Cole and Jimmy.
Yeah, and when you were going through the college recruiting process, obviously Syracuse, a historic program, but what really led you here? Because you had a lot of offers, a lot of places that would have loved your services. Yeah. What led you to come to Syracuse?
Coach Red and Coach Boeheim recruited me really hard, just constantly, but not too overbearing, And a big part of the reason I came here was not too far from home. All my family and friends can come see me play, just a drive away, but not too close to home.
Well, and we're getting towards game action only about a week away.
Yeah.
But before you get to the season, you got a whole summer of training. You've been training all this fall. You know, you haven't played in a college basketball game yet, but what is, you know, the adjustment been as far as the physical nature of college basketball been like, even in practice for you?
Yeah, the physical nature hasn't been too bad. I've been lifting weights for years now, so and I understand that I'm strong. They're strong too. Some of them may be stronger just because of grown man strength. Because some of these dudes are men, like Jimmy and Boeheim, like they're college graduates. Like, yeah, so just stuff like that. But no, it hasn't been too hard and too difficult for me.
Well, and you know, being a true freshman, this is your first time kind of doing the whole college basketball rodeo thing. What is the one thing you're most excited for in terms of ACC play? Is there like a specific game that you're really looking forward to, or a specific moment that you're really going to relish, especially in this experience?
Honestly, probably just playing at the Dome. Not really where else I'm really looking forward to. I mean, I'm looking forward to all the games, but really just the Dome. I've heard how crazy it is. I've been at the Carolina game. I just want to see like what it's like being in there in center of everybody and just seeing like how the fans react if I score or one of my teammates score or something like that.
Are you gonna have like a go-to celebration? Like, let's say big game, you put down a big dunk that puts a team up in the second half. What's the reaction?
I might just flex a little bit.
Look
at Coach Red for sure.
All right, you want to give us a little taste of it? There we go. All right, Benny Williams gonna flex on everybody all season in the Dome. Benny, thank you so much for your time today. We're gonna hit one more quick break here on the Basketball Preview Show. When I come back, I'm replacing Benny Williams with a man who's almost as tall as him. Brad Klein is coming back on the show. We're going to talk about the schedule and the projecting starting lineup. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. Back here on the Basketball Preview Show, he's Noah Cierzan, I'm Brad Klein, and the road here on the Preview Show is almost coming to an end. But before we reach that end, time to look at the road for SU Hoops this season. The schedule, the non-conference slate, it has a lot of really tough challenges for the Orange. What really sticks out to you, Noah? Yeah, there are a lot of juicy matchups. Of course, you have Georgetown, Indiana, and then the Big Ten ACC Challenge. But I'm looking at the battle for Atlantis because this tournament is loaded. They open up against VCU, but you could play the likes of, Baylor, the national championships from a year ago, Arizona State, Loyola Chicago, a lot of loaded teams. So really test the team early on, kind of show you what Syracuse is made of. But we've also, as always, got a loaded conference slate, Brad. ACC, we got Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, a lot of great historic programs in this conference. But what's one that you are circling if you're Syracuse? You mentioned it, it's Duke, right? I mean, Duke and Mike Krzyzewski in his farewell tour. Syracuse gets to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium, and Duke comes to the Dome. Historic rivalry between Jim Boeheim and Mike Krzyzewski, best of friends, and it should be really exciting to see those two. The question is, when they play, who will be starting for Syracuse, though? College basketball expert John Rothstein projects an unconventional lineup with Joe Girard, Buddy Boeheim in the backcourt. That makes sense. And then you're getting some Cole Swider, getting some Jimmy Boeheim, and then the Flying Dutchman swoops in and takes the center spot away from Boeheim Sidibe. Quick thoughts on that? Yeah, I think that could be a starting lineup, but would not be shocked at all to see a guy like Benny Williams, a very talented freshman, start in place of Jimmy Boeheim. And then also Boeheim Sidibe. This is his 5th year. Yeah, his knees might be a little banged up. He might be a little worn down, but he's still a valuable asset for this team. And I think him and Jesse will probably likely split time in the middle. Well, if you're curious as to who's going to start, we got you covered. Just follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV Sports. Keep it locked to our website, CitrusTV.com. We also have a TikTok, _CitrusTV_. We have coverage all season long. He's Noah Cierzan. I'm Brad Klein. Stay safe, everyone.